Hey there, it's your host, Jenn Zahrt, and today I'm so excited to welcome you to the 100th episode of Within Orb. I can't believe we're in the triple digits. Today's guest is Amy Angelo, and she's going to take us all the way back to the very beginning, and you'll see why. Before we get to that, I wanted to share with you the two new labs that are going to be happening this fall at CAELi. The first is called 3 Deep, and it will be hosted by Jenny Montgomery, who was on our show before in episode 19. And it's a 6-week lab for intermediate to advanced astrologers to explore the compelling presence of the ancestors' lives in our charts. So you will survey a wealth of ancient and modern techniques for identifying the uncanny repetitions within families. You'll develop your own approach based on your research interests and expertise and chart your work in a focused breakout session. So please sign up for that. It begins on September 7th and goes through October 12th on Sundays from 10 to 12 p.m. and is $180. The second lab is hosted by me, so if you love listening to Within Orb and you want to spend time live with me talking about all things astrology, my lab is focusing on what I'm calling hypermodern aspects, a wedding of sacred geometry, numerology, harmonic aspect theory, and what Robert Blaschke developed as Sabian aspect orbs. It's going to be a pretty deep dive into any chart factor being an aspect to any other chart factor and how to actually interpret that. The suggested price for that is $348, but it's a sliding scale beginning at $240 and up to however much you'd like to contribute to support CAELi. All of the proceeds of this lab will be going to support the library. Hypermodern Aspects Lab starts on September 17th and runs through October 22nd, and you can learn more and register on the CAELi website, CAELi.institute. If you love Within Orb, think about joining a lab, helping CAELi out in that way, meeting other people who listen to the show. And without further ado, please enjoy meeting Amy Angelo and going all the way back to the beginning of time. The Within Orb podcast. Come get Within Orb. Welcome to another episode of Within Orb, and today we're heading to the Upper West Side of Manhattan to meet with asteroid expert and astrologer extraordinaire, Amy Angelo. Amy, welcome to the show.
Jen, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm so thrilled to have you. I love what you do with asteroids. You were recently published in the CAELi Review about Melusine, and I just have so much admiration for all the space you hold for us to really get into asteroid work in your astrology, but I know that's not where you started. So let's go back to the beginning. What was your first astrology book?
So my first astrology book was a book by Demetra George called Mysteries of the Dark Moon. And that actually led me on a trip to Egypt with Demetra in 2019, where we studied ancient Greek mystery religions, which totally changed my life.
I mean, that's a way to begin. Like you just went straight into it with the goddess of asteroid goddesses.
Totally, because that was the asteroid, like the asteroids were in orbit when I was first getting engaged with astrology. So all the goddesses like Lilith, Kali, all of these supreme, intense women figures of ancient mythology totally grabbed me in and got me in. And so then I was watching the astrology podcast. It was an interview with Demetra. And then she pitched at the end, like, Chris was like, what are you working on? And she was like, well, I'm leading this trip to Greece. And I was like, well, I need to go on that trip to Greece. So I got myself a spot on the trip. I went to Greece, and on that trip just had such a profound awakening experience. There's nothing like Sacred Journey to engage with specific locations. And what was incredible about that trip was that she gave us a chart when we arrived with asteroids of all the different sacred places that we could commune with, which just deepened our connection with the archetypal process of Sacred Journey. And at the end of that trip, Demetra approached, she could tell that I had been really interested with the astrological material because the trip wasn't all astrologers, actually. They were sacred journeyers, a lot of women who had been part of her goddess work, things like this. And she was like, hey, I can tell that you're really interested in this astrology track. I'm teaching my last certification timeline of Hellenistic astrology. And if you want to study with me directly, like it will be in Bend, Oregon. And so this was October 2019.
Oh my goodness.
And I couldn't say no. I was like, I will also be there. And so then I obviously bought Ancient Astrology and Theory and Practice, Volume 1. This is my signed September 2019 signed copy from the retreat. So it's like a total transmission marker of my journey, this book.
That's incredible. Oh my goodness. Like, that is quite a beginning story. Like, you just went straight into the heart of it.
It was profoundly transformative. And, you know, when you go from the asteroid work to the Hellenistic work, that is this huge undertaking of discipline and rigor and reorientation and deep understanding of the chart being this like living, breathing form. And I don't say this lightly, like studying Hellenistic astrology literally taught me how to think.
I got to unpack that.
Yeah, like all of it, just the way that you process the world, you see things move, that multiple truths are existing in one moment, like everything, like it foundationally transformed me. This was like my early 20s, right? I was like 23 or 24 years old, fresh out of college. So yeah, this book took me on such a journey. So then this started a 3-year, it actually ended up being 4-year certification process with Demetra. So you actually went to her retreats, right?
I went to a Time Lord retreat at Miniman's in Portland about time. Well, it was literally Time Lords. It was about the layer cake of prediction and how transits are just the like fondant. Sort of like, you know, it's beautiful. Everyone loves them. They're showy. You can mold them into any shape you want and they taste like. Because the layer, like, you know, it was the first time anyone had ever like really truly shown me how the logic of the chart unfolds from the map itself if you know how to count properly and you understand how to unpack the layers of predictive power with circumambulations, moving through the layers into, you know, what the solar return ends up doing. I spoke about this on another episode with Catherine Urban, how when you have your annual perfection and then you look to the solar return to see the dignity shift, to understand how that annual perfection Time Lord is going to really play out. Mini lesson, everyone. Yes, I did do that. And also, congratulations on completing that certification because you guys graduated at CAELi last year at our first subterranean in-person event that no one knows about, but everybody somehow knows about now.
Thank you so much. It was such a transformative journey and it was such hard work. And it taught me so much about the importance of studying astrology through the biography of people, living people or people who have passed. And so that brings me to my second book.
Okay, so wait a minute. That was
yes.
That was your first pair of like getting into astrology books. So now I get to start the questions, right? Here we go.
Okay, start the questions.
I am going to send you to a deserted. Well, you've already been to so many places on a journey. Where's the next journey place you'd like to go besides Greece and Egypt? Is there another place in the world?
I think that I would really like to go to Tahiti.
Okay, so Tahiti it is. We're going to take you to Tahiti. You have an ephemeris because who doesn't want an ephemeris by their side all the time? You get to take 3 books with you. What are your 3 books?
So my first book is this book called Figuring by Maria Popova. She is a Bulgarian essayist. If you've heard of Brain Pickings, that is her blog. And she's such a fascinating and incredible writer. And why I picked this book, and to circle back, is she tells the story of multiple people's biographies in this book and their lives, from Kepler to Maria Mitchell, who's the first woman astronomer based in Nantucket, who was tracking the cycles of Venus.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love her work from Brain Pickings. I've read that blog forever, but I had no idea she had this. Oh, I'm not paying that close of attention. I had no idea she had this book, but yeah. Kepler?
Yeah, Kepler. She starts the book with Kepler. And what's really incredible is she tracks the big events that happen in these people's lives through cosmic happenings like eclipses. So there are these portals of transformative moments when people go through these huge shifts, and she's tracking them by the eclipses that are happening near those times in their life.
Does she know about their charts? I mean, I don't think she's an astrologer, right?
She's not an astrologer, but she's friends with a bunch of astrophysicists. And she does these incredible events in New York City and beyond called Universe and Verse. So I think that she's well versed in cosmic connections. But I would be curious about her relationship to astrology. This is a pretty dense book. It's a yellow book with a gorgeous funnel. I don't know what the word for this is on What is that?
It looks like half a Klein bottle, but it's like a wormhole portal math. It's math.
It's math. It's a wormhole portal math. Wormhole portal math are the exact ways that I would describe reading this book.
Okay.
This book takes you on such a journey. And I learned so much about, Emily Dickinson and all these different characters throughout history, whether they were artists or scientists, but people who radically changed our understanding. And why I pair these two books together is that there's so much biographical information. And when that is so essential and important when you're doing, when I was working on Demetra's exam, when you're studying astrology, to ground your understanding in the real lives of people. And she does such a beautiful job of telling the stories of people so that you can then be motivated to study astrology, like with the charts of people. So this actually funny story, there's a whole chapter about Maria Mitchell, who I talked about. She was in Nantucket. She was from a Quaker family, and she has a house in Nantucket. And I went to her house and I was asking the people, I was like, hey, I'm on a pilgrimage to study this woman. I'm really interested in finding her birth chart. Can I get her birth information? And so I went to the town hall. I emailed the archivist. And unfortunately, she was born before a time when it was recorded by a hospital. She was just born at home. But this is kind of our work as astrologers, is to contribute to astrological research in every day and in our lives, and understanding where our information comes from and helping being part of that lineage of getting information. So this book, I could read it 100 times on an island in Tahiti and get new insights from it every single time. And it makes me so curious about the lives and the charts of these people in really profound ways.
That's amazing. And yeah, the nitty gritty. I mean, if she's got that much detail in there, you could really check different Time Lord techniques against what she's bringing, even though she doesn't know that's what she's doing.
Totally.
She's doing it with eclipses, but it's but where did it go in Kepler's chart? Come on.
Right. Because also eclipses are these collective, when people that are profound go through these really big shifts, the impact can be so much greater than just the individual themselves.
Yeah. And then it makes me think about, well, is there something about the figures she chose that has a synastic through line for her?
Oh.
Or is it just that maybe each of these people that she was attracted to writing about interface with her chart in specific ways, but don't have a common thread by themselves?
Which would be fascinating to explore. And I would have plenty of time on an island to get into all of that.
No, I'm I need to send you a care package with a ream of paper and a bunch of pencils and a pencil sharpener, because I can already see it right now, just furiously scribbling notes about ascensional times and shifts and leaps and bounds.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for every day, all day long. Okay, so that's a fascinating first pick. No one's ever gone there with a non-astrology / lapping its waves towards astrology book.
Cosmic Entanglement. This book has cosmic entanglement.
Okay, good. There it is. Cosmic Entanglement. Yeah, no, I feel cosmically entangled with it now too.
Gorgeous.
Everybody's got to go read it. Say the title again.
It's called Figuring.
Figuring. What a good title too.
And let me just quickly read the back.
Okay.
Just one sentence from the back. Some truths, like beauty, are best illuminated by the sidewise gleam of figuring, of meaning making. That's what we do as astrologers. We're figuring, we're meaning making, we're honoring the beauty of people's lives. I couldn't have said it better.
Well, figuring, the way it's used there, sounds a lot like the word reckoning, which comes from the German word rechnen, which is to calculate, which is what we do when we create the chart. And the chart is sometimes called a figure. Think about Lily. He calls it a figure. Look at the figure.
That was an amazing connection.
Mic drop. Someone brought the etymology out. Okay. All right, let's go into your second book. What would your second book be?
So my second book would be The Epic of Gilgamesh, in this new translation by Sophus Helle. Yeah, brand new translation. This is the best version of Gilgamesh that you can get your hands on right now.
Sophus, Sophus, Helle, Helle. Cool.
Yes.
I love The Epic of Gilgamesh. You're the only other person that I've ever heard of talk about The Epic of Gilgamesh. I feel like
it is such an incredible feat of human development and consciousness. So I just gave a conference talk on The Epic of Gilgamesh through asteroid position. So there's an asteroid Gilgamesh, there's an asteroid Ishtubar, which is a mistransliteration of Gilgamesh, and then there's asteroid Ishtar. So for anyone who doesn't know about Gilgamesh, and the version that you want is this new translation by Sophus Helle. It looks like there's asteroids on the cover.
No lie.
But these
you're
are
right.
really, right?
Yeah.
Like all the ancient tablets, like cuneiform tablets, look like asteroids, which is just a whole thing. So Gilgamesh is this ancient figure. He is a solar hero figure who, what's really crazy to think about is he comes from Mesopotamia, which is an ancient culture to us, which is, as we know, as astrologers, as people interested in Hellenistic astrology, that is like the cradle of civilization that brought to form the astrology that we study. It was incubated there, coming into consciousness there. Gilgamesh was ancient even to those ancient Mesopotamians. So that's how old Gilgamesh is. He was like, it's like a 6,000 plus year old epic. So this author does an incredible job of bringing the story in all of its haunting qualities to life, because Gilgamesh is this character who is pondering death. He's 2/3 divine, 1/3 mortal, and he is on a journey to leave he's a king, he's leaving his town, he's going with his best friend Enkidu, who's maybe even his lover, to go on a sacred journey to defeat monsters, and he really pisses off Ishtar along the way, which is Venus, and takes the bull of heaven, aka Taurus, to unleash havoc over the town, over Gilgamesh, and that brings Enkidu to death. So then it happens that like Gilgamesh is totally mourning the loss of his friend. He realizes that he's going to die, and he goes on a journey for seeking immortality. So this myth, it's very old, but you read it and it could totally apply today. So there's this like modernism to it that is profound. And I was in a class at Columbia this semester taking a Carl Jung class where we were studying this epic. And the kind of thesis from the class was that Gilgamesh represents humanity's psychological stand-up from the great mother goddess of life and death. And it's like, I'm not going to die. I refuse to die. And what does that mean for the human psyche? And like, we're seeing right here and right now what that means for the human psyche.
Yeah, I always loved the irony that he was trying to cheat death, and the only way he could achieve that successfully, which he did, is to live a life so fantastic that we're still talking about it 6,000 years later.
And through death, too. Because he became a judge of the underworld to the ancient Mesopotamians, which means that he got immortality through death. So me and my friend Nadia Anderson were talking about how there's this interplay between Taurus and Scorpio that is happening in this myth, which is like Ishtar unleashes the bull of heaven, Taurus. And when Enkidu dies and he's going to figure out how he can become immortal because the pain is so alive of his friend, he walks to like the far regions of the cosmos or the earth or the mountains or wherever he goes, and he engages with Scorpio. So we were talking about how this myth is bringing in probably constellational myth making, for sure. And that is through the imagery and the symbolism. And yeah, that happens here.
Imagine stepping into a room of 5,000 astrology books, turning a corner and stepping into a room of 2,000 more. The Celestial Arts Education Library is every astrologer's dream, and it can be yours. I invite you to come support CAELi before you can visit physically. Your support will mean the creation of 52 new episodes of Within Orb next year, 4 issues of the CAELi Review, our inaugural journal, and countless book talks, events, classes for our community. Visit our website, www.caeli.institute/support, to select your level of care. Please help support CAELi into the future, our future, so that we may study the future together. Thank you for listening. Please enjoy the rest of the show. Does this translation have the story about the loaves of bread, where he is sleeping for 7 days and this couple bakes the loaves of bread one a day, and then by the time Gilgamesh wakes up, they're like, see, time is real.
Yes.
Awesome. I love that part. I've always remembered that part of like, yeah, you think you can just get away with not experiencing time, but check it out. Moldy bread, man. And he like can't deny
Totally.
it.
Oh yeah. And he's like so weak and he's so sad, and it's a gorgeous translation. And this myth actually found me when I was an undergrad. I read not this version of the myth, and it didn't quite land the same way. So the testament of the specific translation, it's really well done. And it really does a great job with the development of the characters. And, one of my favorite quotes from the book is like Gilgamesh's mom asking Shamash, because he's a patron. He always is praying to Shamash, who's the sun god of Mesopotamia, for those who don't know. And she's like, Shamash, why did you give my son so restless a mind? I can relate to that. I'm like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love it.
It's beautiful.
So do you think that, I haven't read this in so long, and I was just a tiny baby astrologer when I first came across it too. And I'm wondering, like, let's marry together your mythological origin story into astrology, and now your journey into technical Hellenistic astrology and back to Gilgamesh as a myth. Did reading this in the context of the class last year invade your astrology somehow? Like, did it give you a new edge on your astrology by going back to this very first story of the first recorded human story?
So this class, there was a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1, we read Gilgamesh. Part 2, we read the Red Book. So if you watch my lecture through NCGR New York, I'll send you, I think they're going to put it on their website. So
cool.
You can
everybody go and
check
watch
out the talk. There's a full circle moment. So this talk was incubating while I was in the class. And I'm sitting there like, oh, this talk has to happen. And so it took me a year. I was pulling examples for a year. It was happening organically, just like with the engagement with the material. Because like in Carl Jung's Red Book, he has a direct encounter with Izdubar, who's Gilgamesh. And so that's a whole other train. However, the idea here is it's really remarkable to be able to weave in the mythology through asteroids that are named Gilgamesh and explore a tradition so ancient to us, but also with this like reverence that this myth predates the astrologers that, it potentially predates the history of our practice, or it was coinciding with. So there's this like reverence, like to work on such a talk and such a project and like have my mind like chewing on both at the same time, like such a modern practice with such an ancient myth. I think I found my niche.
I've got goosebumps. This is incredible. And thank you for reminding me that Jung encountered Izdubar. Now I want to go back to Liz Green's books on the Red Book. She's written a few pieces. A couple Sophia Center Press books have chapters of her work discussing it, and I think also her Routledge books on Jung's astrology, but makes me want to see if that comes up in that context at all, because I had completely not put those together. So thank you.
Yeah, and that's my summer reading, by the way. Those 2 books are my summer reading.
Liz Green?
Liz Green's, because I have to work on my master's thesis, and so I'm trying to see if this work of asteroids at key positions of birth charts can become a psychological aid in finding the myth for people and creating meaning in their lives.
Well, I'll go ahead and say yes. And I was on the astrology podcast with Chris talking about Liz's books on Jung's astrology too.
Gorgeous.
Her first one, there's 2, and the first one is very much like the book you would get if you only looked at every single reference he has in his collected works for astrology, which was an exercise I did in graduate school to see if I wanted to write a chapter about Jung. And then I was like, oh man, I should have called Routledge before Liz did, because like literally anybody who goes through all of his references to astrology can write that book.
Wow.
It's just a concordance of everything he's ever said about astrology. So kudos for her for getting that published, but I think the second book is going to give you a lot more bang for your buck.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, third book.
So my third book is this book called The Holy Daimon by Frater Acher. And I was reading and engaging in this book. There's a gorgeous Saturn symbol on it. And the conceptualization, like Demetra, I learned about asteroids through Demetra, of course. And she talks a lot about the asteroids being similar to daimons or spirit guides who guide individuals on their life throughout their life and have something to say about their fate. And by working with the energies or the mythologies, that can change the course of people's lives, or just their awareness can help them awaken to deeper dimensions of self. So this book does an incredible job. It's put in two parts. The first part is research on the daimon from the early Chaldean astral magicians through the Fravashi, through the Greeks. So it just really does an amazing research, study, and exploration of, okay, what are the earliest conceptualizations of daimon? So I leveraged this resource a lot when developing the asteroid talk that I gave on Gilgamesh, because I also think that there's something very interesting about understanding the way that ancient civilizations or, our elders were engaging with space, time, and matter, because everything was alive to them. One of the things in Gilgamesh, sorry, I'm going back to Gilgamesh, is Enkidu was like as strong as a meteorite. They were having astral influence. And when meteorites fall onto Earth, that is sacred ground. When we were in Greece going to sacred ancient Greek mystery religions, and we went to the Samothraki, one of like the central components of the altar space where the initiates would go through their initiation was from meteorite. Point being is everything's alive. How we harness and engage with and understand different ways of knowing and being, as a person studying psychology, I'm really interested in the psyche. I'm really interested in ways of knowing, different inner and outer influences. And so the second half of the Holy Daimon book is an exploration of magical practices to Saturn. So you can really, I'm a person right now, I'm just wrapping up my Saturn return. I've been in 2 years of Saturn perfected years, and now Saturn's in my perfected house. I think that this book found me in the perfect Saturnian moment. And so if you want to explore ways of communing with astrology, daimons, energies, magical practices, this is kind of one of those books that walks you through someone's process, and it's a living testament to the power of the daimon.
That's so rich. If you were going to be making an as within, so without, the story of this meteorite falling in Greece, creating an architectural feature for an altar space, what do you think would be the analogous thing in psychology? Like, what would the meteorite fall be for the person?
I mean, my first thought is a divine encounter with like a symbol, like an asteroid that can come in and its story and mythology can come in and talk to you.
But create an altar space around it.
Of course. An altar. My astrology offering for asteroids is called Altar of the Asteroids.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So here we go.
We create an altar in my practice for the asteroids and the daimons.
But it's an external one for your client.
Yeah. So the internal altar space is where we're going with this, which is
the mind altar.
The mind altar.
I just love that everything that you've brought up today has just woven together so beautifully with the cutting edge asteroid astrology of the 20th century into the 21st century, is back 6,000 years to the beginning of recorded human story, with a stop with Jung along the way. Just like,
yeah.
But I think, I do think, what you're doing with Jung could give a really beautiful rehabilitation on some of his more leonine work in astrology, because in Germany he was peripheral and Liz centers him, and I don't think he is as central as Liz makes him out to be. And so part of my work with the last 25 years of research has been to show how rich that astrology land was in Germany and how peripheral Jung was actually to that conversation. And yet, his story has overshadowed a lot of really great things that happened before the Second World War.
That's such beautiful and important work. And, to dream and manifest of what asteroid work can be, everyone could write a red book with their asteroids.
And that would be an amazing
engagements.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could write
that could be
burnt orange book and an avocado green book.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, One thing that really shines through what you're saying and even just your entry story, because, the pro tip to like getting a degree in film, the first thing they'll tell you is the opening scene to any movie tells you everything you need to know about the film. And your entry into astrology was always already experiential. And I hear you continuously bring up as well, like, you can't work with asteroids in a vacuum. You have to actually be experiential, with them. It's not just, we can measure a new space rock. Let's look and see where it is in your chart. It's actually a devotional, ensouled practice that is going to give you direct communication, not something that is, intellectual only.
For sure. And the, asteroid insights, for example, like in my experience, I wrote about Melusina for the CAELi review. And it was so hard. It took me years to write that. Why? Because the psychological insights were so deep and so alive and honestly kind of uncomfortable to face that it took multiple levels and layers to be able to even confront it. So that took me like 3 years. From the moment that I learned about Melusina to the point where I could create something with it, that was a 3-year process. And to add to that, I don't think I got into this so if you read everyone read the Melusina piece in the most recent journal. But something I don't think is in the journal, which I'll tell you for listeners, is that another asteroid discovery enriched my understanding of Melusina on my journey. And I have Paracelsus, the asteroid, the alchemist, who definitely inspired Jung. And Jung's on my MC. That asteroid's on my MC.
Oh!
But Paracelsus, and I was like, Paracelsus is an alchemist. Alchemy. I started thinking about alchemy. Okay. I started researching. I don't even know why I thought that. It just all of a sudden was like, you need to research what Paracelsus has to say about Melusine. And so I did that. And I found, because when you're at Columbia, you have an incredible resource to like anything in the academia.
You mean through the library?
Through the library. And I found some insights that I drew into the work that I submitted to you.
So did you know that Frater Acher is a translator of Paracelsus, as I am?
I didn't even know
I've
that.
translated Paracelsus too. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. But I thought you were going to talk about Paracelsus when you hold up the Holy Daimon, because I was like, oh yeah, he translates Paracelsus as well.
I honestly, thank you for telling me. See, Paracelsus is back. Asteroids are real, y'all.
Right. So we got to climb our way out of this mind altar here. So if someone comes up to you and says, oh my God, Amy, I absolutely love the way your mind works. How do I learn astrology? I'm going to ask for the book, because I always ask that to everybody, but I have a suspicion that you're going to say something more. All right. So what book would you put in the hands of someone who wants to learn astrology?
Ancient Astrology and Theory and Practice by Demetra George. That's the beginning of all. The rest will come.
All right. Perfect. Okay. And then where can people find you?
Please find me on Instagram or TikTok. My handle is Amy Angelo Astro, and my website is amy-angelo.com. You can connect with me. I also am a leader of the NCGR Asteroid Surge, which is sponsored by Demetra George. So if you want to connect with community who's really interested in asteroid work, talk about different asteroid placements, we do once a month meetings, and you can join us on Patreon. And that is it, I think.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share all of these rich sources and thoughts and ideas and magic. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Within Orb. If you loved this episode, share it with your friends, give it 5 stars, leave a comment. In Spotify, you can do that now. To learn more about the CAELi Institute and perhaps become a member or take a lab that we teach, please go to CAELi.institute. That's CAELi.institute. Thanks again to the E-Block Band for providing our intro and outro music, and also to Jen Brown of JJ Boots Productions for being an excellent producer. If you would like to have a podcast be edited like Within Orb, reach out to Jen. This is Jenn Zahrt, signing off for now. See you next week.